Waiting a procedural vote on a bill to fund the government until February the 8th. The good Senator Roger Wicker is on the phone with me, and I didn't know if he was going to oversleep or what, because you didn't get to bed till late last night, did you? What time did you get to bed?
Oh, well, they were going to have a vote at 1 in the morning, but they announced about 10 o'clock. We were going to just have that vote at noon today. Listen, this is all up to Chuck Schumer. There are 47 Democrats that are still holding out, and we need about 7 or 8 of them to vote yes and reopen the government so we can get back to business.
Where does it stand right now? Because I understand the vote is going to come at 1 o'clock. Is that or at noon today, which will be 11 o'clock our time?
Yeah, that's right. The vote's going to come at noon Eastern time.
Yeah.
And I hope by then we have enough goodwill developed, or enough Democrats that are tired of this, and frankly enough public outrage from out there among the constituents to say we need to get the government reopened, and we need to get back to the business of working on a number of tough issues. But this is not the way to get immigration reform passed, as far as I'm concerned. And let me just make it clear, Paul, this is a shutdown led by Chuck Schumer, the Democratic Senate leader, over the issue of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program. It doesn't expire till March, and yet he's holding up a temporary bill that at this point would open the government for simply 3 more weeks. So it makes absolutely no sense in the world not to do a 3-week extension over a program that's not going to expire till month after next.
You know, one of the things that I really believe and certainly the Democrats are bad about this, but I think in Washington itself doesn't believe. Sometimes I don't think they understand how much we know back home, whether it's Mississippi or Montana. Because, I mean, we were sitting here playing this morning where Nancy Pelosi's talking about, you people get real, stop having your orgasms from the tax reform that you've done, that you've given to rich people, and get on with these CR, because you got one CR after the other. And then it's very easy for us to pull up 2009 was the last time a budget was done, and then the Obama administration, with Nancy Pelosi in charge one way and Reid the other way, went for 1,000 days without a budget. I mean, we're not stupid.
I didn't know Nancy Pelosi said that, but yeah, it is interesting that they would talk about tax cuts for the wealthy. As a matter of fact, I think millions upon millions of Americans and most Mississippians, when they get their pay stub in February, whether it's mid-February or the end of the month, we're all going to see higher take-home pay. I mean, 95% of us. And I don't think most of us consider ourselves wealthy. So this has been a great middle-class tax cut. But also, what Nancy Pelosi is obviously doing is what I saw my colleagues doing this weekend. They're talking about everything in the world that they can think of to try to confuse the issue with the American people.
I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working.
Well, I hope not. This is a shutdown over illegal immigration, and we need to fix this DACA issue. The president has asked us to do that. We're going to do it, but we also have to make sure that in fixing that problem, we don't turn around 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and have another whole set of childhood arrivals that we have to deal with. We need a comprehensive look at how this happened and how we can prevent it from happening in the future.
To the best that you know, what will you be voting on coming up in a couple of hours? What has Mitch McConnell crafted in the past 24 hours as far as kind of bridge that gap to what Schumer wants that will be presented that you guys will vote on?
Well, basically, the majority leader has has proposed, instead of a 4-week temporary spending bill, a 3-week temporary spending bill, and that's basically the only change that's been made. What he went to the floor last night and did was give assurance that if we don't have this immigration issue worked out by then, it will be the next item brought up on the Senate floor. And I think that in light of the fact that our Democratic colleagues don't really have a leg to stand on, that is a pretty generous concession. I think in 3 weeks' time, we can work with President Trump, with members of the administration, and work out a solution to this DACA, the so-called DACA issue. We use these terms in Washington as if everybody
but
in
walked,
America understands it. But it's people, it's children who came illegally to the United States through no fault of their own because they were 3 years old and their parents brought them.
Well, what I was going to say is Schumer walked away from that, though, because he didn't trust McConnell, apparently, which happened overnight, because, I mean, that's where we are now. So if nothing changes, why would you think that this vote's going to be affirmative coming up in a couple of hours?
Well, we're hoping that Democratic senators are hearing from the general public back in their states. Senators like John Tester from Montana, where there are about 50 DACA recipients in the whole state. I mean, he's holding up funding for national security, funding for important federal functions, over 50 people in Montana. It's ridiculous. And so we hope that people from around the nation are calling in to their senators and saying, let's get back in business. This is absolutely a false reason to shut the government down, and let's get back to work. So we're going to have an interest and not be so partisan. And
Secretary Mattis really brought that home and made a very good point on it in that press conference he had yesterday. Senator, thank you. I'll let you go. I know you got to get back to the meeting, but I thank you for joining us.
And Paul, good luck tomorrow presiding over the legislature.